What's going on? It's Justeeni here. Today I've got something a little special. With the World Championships coming up, someone had the idea of having a World Championship prediction tier list thingy. And I thought, hey, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that. Sounds like good content. And it just sounds fun in general. So yeah, here we are. Special tribes obviously not going to be included. But if you kind of ignore the special tribes, you can kind of just treat this as a tribe tier list if you really want to. But without further ado, I'll show you the tiers and then we can get right into things. So, unranked is self-explanatory. Not happening. Any tribe that I don't think is going to qualify for Sweden, I believe it is top 8 qualifies for Sweden. So, any tribe that I really don't think is qualifying is in the not happening. Might not qualify is those tribes that should more likely than not qualify because it's 8 out of 12 tribes. Most tribes have a good chance of qualifying, but some of them probably lesser chance than others. Then the ones that will qualify, the ones that I'm very confident will be top 8, but not confident that they'll win the whole thing. Then there's the could win, the ones that I could easily see stealing the show, and then the should win. These are the expected, the meta, the absolute champion tribes. Whoever's getting these tribes in the World Championships has a really good chance of taking it home. So anyway, without further ado, let's get right into things. So again, not taking into account player skill with any of this, just pure tribe strength. In the not happening tier, to nobody's surprise, is Venger. Really a shame to see. Venger's not that bad of a tribe, but unfortunately compared to the rest of the competition, things are just going to be too difficult. Venger absolutely can put up a fight. You get a good enough spawn, you can get some wins, but unfortunately, you need more than just a couple wins. You need to get a lot of wins. And it's just not likely that you're going to get that lucky break to even qualify, let alone take it all the way to win. So I just don't see it happening. Venger does have some nice advantages. That early aggression's very nice on a small map. Sometimes you can just pop off. If you get a lot of mines, having that immediate smithery is great. But the mine rate is inconsistent. Your resources can fail you sometimes, and you don't have a lot of outs. And because of that, Venger is going to be sitting in the bottom tier. I just don't believe in them, sadly. Now, next tier in the might not qualify tier, starting with Kiku. Probably not a surprise to many. We do know that Ramdingler actually decided to not try for Kiku again this year because he really is not confident in this tribe, and I understand why. Kiku does have a lot of nice advantages. If you get a coastal spawn, you are doing great. Kiku resources in general, very good. However, Kiku can be a bit slow if you do not have that coastal spawn. As a result, you can have some serious weaknesses, namely, you're either slow to get a giant or slow to get riding. You're rarely able to get it all done despite being a turn 0 tribe. And because you're so reliant on getting that spawn, that coastal spawn to really get going, you can find yourself really caught in some awkward situations sometimes. And all because of that, Kiku's just not a reliable option like you would hope for. I think a very skilled player could potentially make it to Sweden, but it's really going to take a miracle to happen. Now, next up, a bit more of a controversial take, perhaps. Quetzali. Quetzali's a great tribe, don't get me wrong. They've got really good resources. Strategy is a very underrated starting tech, gives them great naval options. Pretty nice option on land as well. But they just don't have it all. They can be a little slow sometimes. Ranged units give Hoodrick a really hard time. And even though you've got really nice, consistent spawns, you don't really have those really good situations that you might hope for. You have to really work for all of your wins as Quetzali. You can go for some occasional sneaky cloak strats, but with this very explore-heavy meta, you're usually not going to reliably catch the opponent off guard, as you might hope for. So, as a result, I feel like it's a little hard for Quetzali to compete with the rest. Not really Quetzali being bad, but just the other tribes being that much better. So now next, Omaji. This one's going to be a very hot take, because Omaji did qualify for Sweden, and it does kind of make sense. Omaji is a very good tribe, but they only barely made it to Sweden. And it kind of makes sense. They have some very nice advantages. They've got the riders. They've got very consistent resources. They've got fruit, they've got farms, they can get the quick roads, but Omaji does have some shortcomings. Pretty much unable to make use of ranged units for the most part. It's really difficult. And in some situations, it's really hard to attack. There's certain matchups for Omaji that are just not good. Mainly due to that lack of versatility. You're kind of stuck with roads and riders, and you just have to hope that that's enough. And sometimes it just isn't. You can get some decent markets on occasion, but usually you will get outperformed. It's really hard to truly leverage that advantage. You can absolutely get it done in some cases. You can make use of the explorers, get quick Eye of God, get some really fast starts there, but it just isn't quite consistent. You can kind of think of Omaji as like a better Venger with not as low of lows. You can get those high highs, you know, get some good ruins, get some good stuff, but you still are kind of reliant on a bit of those lucky breaks. So I think there's a very good chance that Omaji could just fail to get lucky, not get those ruins, miss some of those explorers, and that's all it really takes for Omaji to suddenly not qualify. Now next, in the will qualify tier, we see Imo. Not sure how hot of a take this one is, but I think Imo is pretty underrated, I feel like. They are a pretty solid tribe. They have some weaknesses in the early game, but I think with proper play, you can get around those. And if you are surviving the early game, Imo is an absolute beast. With philosophy, you're able to get so much done. On a tiny map especially, you're able to use Philo really aggressively. Imo's not really well known for their markets. They can be very inconsistent, but sometimes you can get them. And then in the cases where you can't, you can attack very well. Philo's just all around really good. And I think a really underrated aspect of Imo is surviving the early game. It can be tricky. Some matchups are quite bad, but sometimes you are able to get it done. You do have to be worried about some of the higher tier tribes that we'll see. Some of the matchups are pretty rough, but if you get some mountains blocking the way, you can get some good mindbenders to defend your cities. I think Imo definitely has a good chance. Winning the whole thing might be a little difficult. Again, there's some tough matchups there, so it seems a little unlikely. Things really need to go your way. If you get caught off guard in the early game too many times, that's just it. But I think Imo does have a good chance of making it to Sweden this time around. Now, next up, this one I think is a hot take because I think a lot of people are actually overrating this tribe. It's going to be Yadek. Now, Yadek's great. Don't get me wrong. They've got really good resources, very fast start. They've got roads, kind of like Omaji, but very consistent. And you can sometimes make use of ranged units. You can get archers sometimes, even math on occasion. But the thing is with Yadek is kind of like Omaji, is they can't always get it done. We did see last year Yadek failing to qualify for Sweden. And there's a very good chance that could just happen again. Maybe not. Maybe I could be proven wrong. They've got some really good aggression, but I think in the context of this meta, aggression can only get you so far, and Yadek's economy definitely leaves a little bit to be desired. When Yadek's put on the back foot, they just don't tend to perform as well. And I think that lack of versatility in some cases can definitely be a bit of an issue, but I do think Yadek does have some very notable strengths. So I think they do have a good chance of making it, but it will still be an uphill battle. Now, next tier in the could win tier, we've seen Barter. Barter's just a very, very paradoxical tribe, because last year they finished second place, not only making it to Sweden to find everyone's expectations there, but making it all the way to the grand finals. And I still don't really know if it's a fluke or not. I still cannot believe that it even happened. And I feel like people just don't know what to think about this tribe. Some people think this tribe is just not it, whereas other people think this tribe's going to be top 3, top 2, maybe even top 1. And I don't really think that they are the best tribe, but I do think they are pretty good. They have a chance of getting it. We've seen it last year. It could happen again. They've got really good access to those ranged units, which proves to be very good. You can really pressure the opponent, but at the same time, if you get a good enough spawn, you can absolutely just go economical instead. And this time around, we will see some stronger players qualifying for Barter because of how things go. But then again, Slimmy Boy was pretty crazy with Barter, so who knows what will happen. I think Barter has a chance of winning it, just like last year, and they've got a good chance of making it to Sweden. I think they're a great tribe overall. They've got some very notable strengths, and if you can take advantage of those, maybe you can get it done, but it is far from easy. Now next, we have Chinchi. I feel like Chinchi is one of those tribes that just people seem to forget. It kind of sneaks up on you. You kind of forget, oh yeah, Chinchi like made it to Sweden last year. Chinchi is really good. They can just absolutely pop off. I think on small lakes in particular, they're just a really good tribe. Are they the best? No, but they have a good shot. They can get some really strong forges, really quick giants, really good mines, really aggressive starts. They can make use of swords in some cases. But like that strong economy, good explorers with a climbing start. They can really get things done. They have a few weaknesses, but I think it's very doable for Chinchi to deal with those. Their navy is also pretty underrated. Being able to stuff giants in the water is very nice. Chinchi's just one of those tribes. I think they're quite good. They've got, again, mining smithery, very good lines to work with, some other potential surprises in the toolkit. I think a good enough Chinchi player, which there's quite a few of in the community, can definitely prove that this tribe has what it takes to win. But again, it'll be far from easy. There will be some really rough matchups, but I think it might be doable. I could see Chinchi doing it. It would not surprise me if they won. Now next up, Zabasi. The Zabasi run of 2025 by yours truly was truly a tragedy, but I feel like I didn't do justice with representing Zabasi. They are a very strong tribe. I would be shocked if they don't make it to Sweden this year. Maybe it will be by me, maybe by someone else, but somebody's got to do it with Zabasi. Surely. Their farms, really good. That early construction opening is just phenomenal. Can lead into trade, can lead into just riding roads. And unlike a tribe like Omaji or Yadak, you can even go into archery because your animal rate is pretty good. Or go into diplomacy, who knows? But Zabasi, it just has a lot going for them in general. And again, it was kind of surprising that they didn't make it to Sweden last year, because they definitely could take the whole thing. I think they're one of the candidate options. There are still some stronger tribes there, so I don't think it would be that shocking if they didn't win, but it's definitely a strong possibility. Zabasi being able to play both very aggressive and very greedy. The only shortcoming that Zabasi has is just a bit of a lackluster defense at times. But I think the things they do have going for them more than makes up for it. So I think Zabasi has a good chance of winning the whole thing. Now in the very top tier, the tribes that I definitely expect to win. Of course, it's going to be a bit crowded there. Only one tribe can win. But I think these three have the best chance of making it. So starting off, Luxador. Of course, Luxador made it to Sweden last year. Made it to the semifinals, losing only to Barter, who finished second, of course. Luxador is just an absolute behemoth. It was the predicted tribe to win because their ability to get those early giants, if they have a coastal spawn, which is pretty common with Luxador, they're just doing amazing. And even if they don't, they still have a lot of outs. They've got good animals and forests. They can go into math. They can go into like strategy. They can go diplomacy. They can kind of go into whatever they need to, whatever fits the situation. They can have a little bit of inconsistencies with the resources, but I think the consistent capital giants definitely makes up for it. Luxador doesn't really need much to get going, so I think a good enough player can just keep on winning. There are some tough matchups. Again, really just the other high tiers, so it's definitely not a free win by any means, but Luxador really crushes a lot of the other tribes. Really, in a lot of ways, Luxador is just a better Kiku. If you think about it, they have the good navy, but then they also are good on land. Luxador can really make use of almost any spawn, and that consistency really matters. Consistency is key in this meta. And speaking of consistency, the next tribe, Hoodrick. This has been a tribe that people are really, really expecting to go all the way. Hoodrick does one thing only, but they do that one thing so well. They go for math, they go for trade, and then they win the game. That is all they do, but really that's all they need to do. Math and math markets are just so strong in this meta. Even on a small lakes map, they have more than good enough defense with the forest and the archery at the beginning. So they are almost always setting up the same game plan, and they're able to execute it so reliably. It's really hard to get in the way of Hoodrick. Very few tribes can even stand up to this. Most tribes just get completely destroyed by Hoodrick. The few that can are definitely an obstacle for Hoodrick, but Hoodrick is just an absolute beast, just doing the same thing over and over again. Doesn't even matter that their naval is pretty mediocre. Doesn't even matter that they struggle to go for diplomacy. Doesn't even matter that they can't go aggressive with the Rider Roads. They just get archers, they get math, they get trade, and their economy is just unmatched. And if they can just keep doing that, I think they have a good chance of bringing it all the way. Another factor is the fact that Hoodrick is really easy to play. When you've got that pressure on the World Championship, it's really hard to falter when you just can play a really comfortable play style the whole time. Whereas other tribes, they need to adapt to you. Hoodrick kind of controls the game. And that's a pretty big psychological advantage as well. Just being able to say, I'm going to do my thing. What are you going to do about it? But then, of course, there's one tribe that I think has a better chance, a slightly better chance than Hoodrick, and it's none other than Imperius, the one that won the World Championship last year. I think they have the best chance of doing it again, and it's pretty clear why. Imperius just does it all. They don't do anything better than the other tribes, but they do it well enough. You have Rider Roads. You can do it as well as Yadek. You've got occasional math markets if the situation calls for it. You've got a good navy. You don't do these things like as well as like Luxador or Hoodrick or Yadek in most cases, but you still can do them. Imperius rarely gets a situation they can't crawl out of, and again, that consistency matters. A good enough Imperius will be able to win most of their games, really get things done, and just adapt to any situation. And I don't think it's really a surprising take. I mean, they won last year, and, pretty convincingly at that. It's some very nice wins, really showcasing the sheer versatility of Imperius, and I think this year could very well be no different. I know, you've proven it once. Surely you can do it again. But anyway, this is my tier list. Tribes that I think are most likely to win, and then tribes that might not be likely to win. There's definitely a few hot takes in here, so let me know if you disagree in the comments. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Like and sub, and have a good one.